The idea of owning a condominium sounds so great because you can just lock and leave whenever you want, low maintenance, right? It sounds really, really good. But there are some things you need to consider when you do purchase a condominium, and that has to do with the rules and regulations. Each condo association is completely different. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 things you need to know about condo associations, rules, and regulations. Number 1, no consistency. Now, when I say no consistency, it doesn't mean that if you were to buy a condominium, that association would be inconsistent with how they enforce their rules and regulations. What it does mean is that each building, each association is entirely different in terms of what is allowed and what is not allowed. So please don't assume that just because you've lived in one condo once before, that anything else you buy is going to be run similar. It most likely will not. So all rules are going to be so different. So one association might have strong restrictions, one might be loosey-goosey. Don't assume that you're going to have the same kind of freedoms or lack of when you buy a condominium. So often buyers come in with these preconceived notions and understanding of how things work, and it doesn't always work out that way. So I want you to just kind of approach this with an open mind, and if something is really important to you, even if you think it's something that's silly, oh, there's no way that would be an issue, please let your agent know. It's so important because otherwise you might be making a purchase you are going to regret. And that's, of course, what we don't want to have happen. Number 2, types of rules. So now here are some big ones that come up quite often and some of the ones that people are a little surprised about. Now, this does not cover all types of rules and regulations that might come up. But like I said, these are the most frequent ones or the ones that people are the most surprised by. First, pet restrictions. Some associations, some condos do not allow pets at all. Some that could be limited by the number, the weight, the size, the breed, all different types of regulations. And really, that can really limit you on a condo you can buy. I was emailing back and forth with a buyer a week or 2 ago, and she kept saying, no, Jill, you're not sending me enough. What's going on? Are you only sending me stuff that your brokerage has got listed? What's the deal? And I kept telling her, it's because you have 2 cats. And that really does limit things with the type of property she's looking at and the price point and the other features in combination. And honestly, if it was only 1 cat, it would be a lot easier, but she's got 2, so it really does factor in. The next big thing is rental restrictions. A lot of people think, well, I own it, so I can do whatever I want with it. And I understand that thought process, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So each association are going to have rules. First of all, how often you can rent a unit in 1 year. And then also there's going to be a minimum time frame that you can rent it for, whether it's a month, a week, 2 months, 6 months, what have you. There's going to be those restrictions. But then also there could also be a restriction on you having to own it for a certain amount of time before you can even rent it out. And they do that to discourage people who are just investors. They want people who are going to be using it more than renting it out. Next one, this is a big one people are surprised about, is parking restrictions. Just not on where you can park, but maybe some units have a covered parking spot, some don't. Some have a garage, some don't. Some might have 2 spots, some might only have 1 spot. And the other element with this is the type of vehicles. Some associations do not allow motorcycles, some do not allow pickup trucks. Even if that pickup truck might cost a lot more money than most of the cars in that parking lot, they may not be permitted. So be aware of that. I knew there's a condo association that's quite large. There's like 5 or 6 buildings out on Longboat Key. Motorcycles are not allowed there. So I've known of motorcycle owners who will have their motorcycle parked. They have to push it to the gate, then start it, do their thing, come back to the gate, turn it off, and push it back to their parking spot. And like I said, it's a pretty big complex, so it might be a long push from the gate to their parking spot. So be aware of that. That's a big deal. Next, just use of exterior portions of your unit. Maybe you can or can't hang laundry outside. Maybe you may or may not have a gas grill, maybe exterior decor, especially around the holidays, or even just painting your front door. So be aware of that. Things like use of common areas is a big deal. So just be mindful that there could be different rules about that. When you can or can't move out of a property, or sometimes you might even have to pay a deposit, especially if there's elevators involved. Typically, if it's like a villa or just a unit where the front door is to the outside, it's not so bad. But if you're talking a high rise or a mid rise, that can be an issue. So know that maybe you can't move in on the weekend or move out on the weekend. Sometimes, again, talking about these high rises and mid rises, there might be a specific elevator for a specific task. If it's just for general use, use the main elevator. If you're moving something, or even if you do have a pet and you want to go walk your pet, you might have to use a service elevator. Another huge one, this isn't so much rules and regulations, but it's important for people to know. It has to do with the washer and dryer. Did you know that not all units are going to have washer and dryer hookup inside? And we see this pretty often, some of the older buildings, even out on the beach. So you could spend $1 million on a unit and you do not have washer and dryer hookup inside the property. Now, I will say some of these properties may allow you to install your own hookup, but you might not be allowed to. So again, we can't assume too much. Don't think, well, okay, yeah, the hookup's not there, but I'll hire a plumber to come in and do it. That may be allowed to happen, or it may not. So just be mindful of that. And then the last two are kind of together. There could be restrictions on having professionals come into the property, whether it has to do with repairs, like whether it's major or minor, replacing flooring, redoing the unit, might just usually be business hours, Monday through Friday. And some are even that strict about real estate and showings, and even allowing yours truly to come to your unit on a professional matter. That doesn't happen too often, but I've experienced it. I've been through those motions with some of these buildings and associations. And these tend to be a little bit more with the high rises, but nonetheless, just be mindful. There could be restrictions on that. So these are some of the types of rules and regulations you really do need to be mindful of. Well, if you don't know it yet, my name is Jill Thomas. I'm a real estate agent in the Sarasota, Florida area, and I cover Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, Parrish, Northport, Venice, this whole area between Sarasota and Manatee counties. So if you've been thinking about making a move here, or maybe sadly, you need to sell a property that you've got here, this might be a good channel for you to subscribe to and follow. But really, more importantly, I encourage you, if you have any questions, if you're figuring these things out, because sometimes it's just not a quick decision, you might be considering other cities, other areas, or even different types of properties, you need to talk it through with somebody else, a professional, maybe somebody a little bit less emotional. I want to be that gal for you. So feel free to reach out to me, call, text, email. I'm here to help you out and answer your questions. Okay, so point number one, remember, not all buildings are the same. They are inconsistent. Number two, don't be surprised by some of those rules. So communicate with your agent so they know what is going on in your mind and what your lifestyle is like. So the right kind of building or association or community can be a perfect match for you. Now you might be thinking, all right, Jill, I'm a little nervous now, because what if I buy the wrong property? What if I just don't think of telling you that I have a truck or a motorcycle or something like that? And then I've got this property and I have to sell a vehicle, or, it's just not a good fit. Maybe I have to park it somewhere else. That would be annoying. So never fear. Here we go. Number three, opportunity to review the rules. So what's so lovely is in the state of Florida, and I'm not sure how the other states work, but in the state of Florida, there is a law that states that the buyer actually has an opportunity to review all these rules. And if there's something that is not a good fit, you can be released from the contract. And actually, we call this a review of the condo docs or condominium documents. And it includes just not rules and regulation, the budget and all the finances, articles of incorporation, bylaws, and I forget, there's one more thing. But anyhow, you have an opportunity to review all those things. And it's actually a 3-day review period, not counting weekends or legal holidays. And so what's nice is if, let's say, even there's something in the budget you're not sure about, or, there's no washer and dryer hookup in that unit, but we want to find out if we can do that during that review time. We can talk, or you can talk to the management company, you can talk to the treasurer of the HOA. Let's get all those questions answered so you feel good about it. And if there is something in there you realize, oh, I didn't even think about this. This is a big deal for me. Then you can get out of the contract, no questions asked. Sometimes the sellers are a little frustrated with that, but the law is on your side, and you get the deposit back and all is well. So that's a really great thing that you do have that opportunity to review the condominium documents. Condominiums are a great option for thousands of people. But there are definitely pros and cons to owning one, living in one. And one thing has to do with those rules and regulations. So like I said, I want to make sure that the building you're buying into, the association you're buying into, is a good fit for you, and you don't have any regrets down the road. So if you do have questions about condominiums or anything else to do with real estate here in the state of Florida, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you. All my contact information is down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.